The rain hammered the tin roof like gunfire, each drop a bullet ripping through the fragile armor of Luke's resolve. "You're not my son anymore." His father's voice cracked over the phone, the words slicing deeper than any storm. In that instant, as thunder rattled the windows of his cramped Brooklyn apartment, Luke realized the American dream he'd chased across oceans had just turned into a nightmare of erasure. He dropped the phone, the screen cracking against the hardwood floor, and buried his face in his hands, the sobs coming hot and unbidden. 3 years ago, he'd begged his parents to leave the stifling villages of rural Vietnam for this land of promise. New York, with its endless lights and hidden corners where a boy like him could finally breathe. Now, on the eve of his 25th birthday, that plea had boomeranged back, a curse disguised as gratitude. Luke Nguyen wiped his eyes with the sleeve of his faded Yankees hoodie, the one his dad had bought him on their first 4th of July, fireworks exploding like false hopes over the East River. The apartment smelled of instant foe and regret, the kind that clung to the walls like humidity. He'd come out to his family last week, during a video call that started with laughter about his new job at the graphic design firm in Midtown and ended with his mother's silent tears and his father's thunderous silence. "We sacrificed everything for you," his father had said then, voice thick with accusation. "And this is how you repay us? By shaming us?" But tonight was the final blow. His sister, Mia, the one who'd promised to stand by him, had texted a photo. The family group chat, now a shrine to their new life in America. Luke's face was cropped out of every picture. The Thanksgiving dinner where he'd carved the turkey. The Central Park picnic where he'd taught his niece to ride a bike. Erased, like he'd never existed. "For the grandparents back home," Mia's message read, "they wouldn't understand. It's better this way." Luke's chest tightened, a vice of betrayal squeezing the air from his lungs. He grabbed his keys, the jangle a desperate rhythm against the storm, and bolted into the night. The streets of Williamsburg were alive with umbrellas and neon signs. Hipsters ducking into bars that promised escape in craft cocktails and forgotten lyrics. He didn't know where he was going, only that staying still felt like drowning. That's when he collided with Jonathan. Literally. Rounding a corner too fast, Luke slammed into a solid chest, coffee splashing across both their shirts like abstract art gone wrong. "Whoa, easy there, cowboy," a voice drawled, warm and laced with that easy Midwestern twang that made New York feel a little less jagged. Jonathan Hale, all 6 feet of him, with tousled auburn hair plastered by rain and green eyes that crinkled at the corners like he was in on some cosmic joke. He was holding a cardboard tray of drinks, now a soggy casualty, and instead of cursing, he laughed. A low, rumbling sound that cut through the downpour like sunlight. "Sorry, man," Luke muttered, stepping back, his cheeks burning hotter than the spilled latte. Up close, Jonathan was the kind of handsome that snuck up on you. Broad shoulders under a soaked flannel, a jawline shadowed with stubble, and a smile that said he'd seen enough chaos to know it wasn't worth the fight. No harm, no foul. Here. Jonathan peeled off his scarf, a woolen thing in deep navy, and draped it over Luke's shoulders. "You look like you could use some armor against this mess." His fingers lingered just a second too long, brushing Luke's collarbone, sending a spark that had nothing to do with static electricity. Luke blinked, caught off guard. In Vietnam, touches like that were rare, loaded with implication. Here, in this city of strangers, it felt like an invitation. Thanks. Rough night." Jonathan tilted his head, rain dripping from his lashes. "Want to talk about it over a replacement coffee?" "My treat. There's a spot around the corner that brews the good stuff. None of that corporate sludge." Against every instinct screaming to run, to hide in the shadows of his unraveling world, Luke nodded. "Yeah, okay." The cafe was a hole in the wall called Brewed Awakening. All exposed brick and mismatched chairs. The kind of place where baristas remembered your order and heartbreak was just another flavor on the menu. They claimed a corner table by the window, steam rising from fresh mugs like ghosts of conversations yet to come. Jonathan ordered black coffee, strong enough to wake the dead, and a cinnamon roll the size of Luke's fist. "Fuel for the soul," he said, pushing half toward Luke. As the rain pattered against the glass, Luke found himself spilling it all. The immigration gamble, the family's quiet bigotry masked as tradition, the fresh wound of being digitally exorcised. Jonathan listened without interrupting, his nods slow and deliberate, like he was etching every word into memory. When Luke trailed off, voice hoarse, Jonathan leaned forward, elbows on the scarred oak table. That sucks, Luke. Straight up. But listen, you didn't bring them here to be their ghost. You brought them for a shot at real life. And if they can't see you, the whole you, that's their loss, not yours. It was the simplest thing, that validation, but it landed like a lifeline tossed into churning waters. Luke met Jonathan's gaze, those green eyes steady as the Hudson, and felt something shift. A crack in the armor, letting in light. You say that like you've been there. Jonathan's smile turned wry, fingers tracing the rim of his mug. Grew up in a small town outside Chicago, cornfields and church suppers. Came out at 17 right before prom. Dad handed me a bus ticket to the city and said, "Don't come back till you're fixed." Haven't seen him since. But hey, it got me here. Got me this gig teaching art at the community center, where misfits like us turn pain into something pretty. Luke laughed, a real one, surprising himself. Art? Like, what? Finger paints for delinquents. More like murals that tell stories the words can't. Jonathan pulled out his phone, scrolling to a photo. A vibrant wall in Bushwick, depicting intertwined figures against a skyline of shattered chains. See that? That's queer joy, unapologetic. Inspired by a kid who looked a lot like you, lost, but fierce. The conversation flowed from there, easy as the coffee going cold. Jonathan talked about his escape to New York 5 years ago, crashing on friends' couches until he scraped together rent for a loft in Greenpoint. Luke shared snippets of his own grind. The late nights at the design firm, tweaking logos for brands that preached diversity but paid peanuts. They bonded over bad takeout and worse exes. Jonathan's last boyfriend, a Wall Street type who'd ghosted him for a promotion. Luke's high school crush back home, a secret that ended in whispers and shame. By the time the barista flipped the closed sign, the storm had eased to a drizzle, and Luke felt lighter, like the weight of erasure had been shared, if not lifted. "Walk you home," Jonathan offered, holding the door. Luke hesitated, then nodded. The streets glistened under street lamps, puddles reflecting the city's restless pulse. At Luke's building, a pre-war walk-up with creaky stairs and dreams deferred, they paused under the awning. "Thanks for tonight," Luke said, handing back the scarf. Their fingers brushed again, deliberate this time. "Anytime." Jonathan's voice dropped, intimate. "Hey, tomorrow's Saturday. There's this queer open mic at the Stonewall Inn. Poetry, music, the works. Come with? No pressure." Luke's heart stuttered. It had been months since he'd let himself want, let alone plan. But standing there, with Jonathan's warmth cutting the chill, he whispered, "I'd like that." As Jonathan walked away, silhouette fading into the night, Luke climbed the stairs to his apartment. The cracked phone still lay on the floor, a silent accusation. He picked it up, thumb hovering over Mia's contact. Instead, he texted Jonathan, "See you at 8. Can't wait." For the first time in days, sleep came not as escape, but as anticipation. The next morning dawned crisp, the kind of autumn blue that made New York feel invincible. Luke woke to sunlight slanting through his blinds, casting golden bars across the rumpled sheets. His phone buzzed, not with family fallout, but Jonathan's good morning meme. A cartoon coffee cup winking, captioned, "Ready to spill more beans?" He grinned, the simple joy of it warming him from the inside out. Showered and shaved, Luke rifled through his closet for something that screamed casual confidence. He settled on slim jeans, a fitted black tee that hugged his lean frame, and a leather jacket his coworker had sworn made him look like a brooding indie flick lead. A spritz of cologne, sandalwood and citrus, a rare indulgence, and he was out the door, the city humming with possibility. The Stonewall Inn was a pilgrimage site, its rainbow flag fluttering like a heartbeat. Inside, the air thrummed with bass lines and laughter, bodies pressed close in a tapestry of glitter and grit. Jonathan was already there, nursing a beer at the bar. His flannel swapped for a Henley that accentuated the V of his collarbone. Spotting Luke, he waved him over, eyes lighting up. "You made it. And damn, you clean up nice. Flattery will get you everywhere," Luke quipped, sliding onto the stool. Their knees brushed under the bar, a spark that lingered. The open mic kicked off with a drag queen MC, her sequins catching the lights like stars. Performers took the stage. A trans poet weaving verses of reclamation, a folk singer crooning about first kisses stolen in truck beds. When Jonathan's turn came, he grabbed the mic with easy grace, launching into an original piece. A spoken-word riff on the weight of what we carry. His voice rolled like gravel under tires, painting pictures of hidden letters and midnight drives, ending with a line that hooked straight into Luke's soul. "We don't erase the scars. We ink them into maps." The crowd erupted, but Jonathan's gaze sought Luke's, a private applause in the tilt of his head. Emboldened, Luke signed up for the next slot, heart pounding as he stepped into the spotlight. He hadn't planned words, but they tumbled out anyway. A raw stream about oceans crossed and identities drowned, about families that built walls instead of bridges. "I brought them here for freedom," he said, voice steadying, "but forgot to save some for myself." The room hushed, then cheered, a wave of solidarity crashing over him. Back at the bar, Jonathan pulled him into a hug, the embrace firm and unyielding. "That was brave as hell," he murmured into Luke's hair. "You're brave." They spilled out onto the street later, buzzed on cheap drinks and shared vulnerability, the night air crisp with fallen leaves. Jonathan's hand found Luke's, fingers interlacing like puzzle pieces long separated. "My place is close," he said, not a question. Luke's pulse raced, but he nodded. Jonathan's loft was an artist's haven. Canvases stacked against brick walls, the scent of turpentine mingling with fresh basil from a windowsill herb garden. They kicked off boots, poured wine from a box that tasted like rebellion, and talked until the skyline outside turned from black to bruised purple. It started with a brush of lips, tentative testing over the rim of a glass. Then deeper, Jonathan's hands framing Luke's face, thumbs tracing jawlines as if memorizing contours. Clothes shed like old skins, revealing tattoos and freckles, vulnerabilities laid bare. In the tangle of sheets, it was more than bodies. It was communion, Jonathan's whispers of "you're seen," echoing against Luke's skin like gospel. Dawn found them wrapped in each other, the world outside a distant hum. For the first time since the call, Luke felt whole, not erased, but etched indelibly into someone else's story. Weeks blurred into a rhythm that felt dangerously like home. Mornings began with Jonathan's coffee ritual, black and bold, shared over sketches of half-formed ideas. Luke's design job ramped up, a big client pitch for a queer-owned apparel line, and Jonathan became his sounding board, critiquing logos with the precision of a lover's gaze. Evenings were theirs, walks along the High Line, where the city's pulse synced with their own. Movie nights in the loft, popcorn fights dissolving into slow dances. Stolen weekends upstate, hiking trails that wound through forests painted in fiery reds and golds. Jonathan opened doors Luke hadn't known were locked. At a gallery opening in Chelsea, he introduced him to a circle of creators, queer filmmakers, non-binary sculptors, elders who'd marched at the first Pride. "This is Luke," Jonathan said, arms slung possessively around his waist. "The guy who's rewriting his own history, one pixel at a time." Luke soaked it in, the acceptance a balm to the family's sting. But shadows lingered. Mia's texts grew sporadic, laced with passive pleas. "Mom's asking about you. Just say you're busy." His parents' social media curated a myth, happy immigrants thriving, no mention of the son they jettisoned. Once, scrolling late at night while Jonathan slept, Luke found a post. His niece's birthday party, his empty chair photoshopped into oblivion. The hurt festered, a quiet poison. One crisp November evening, as snow flurried like confetti over Central Park, Jonathan proposed a trip. "Thanksgiving. My family's in Chicago, big, loud, zero tolerance for bullshit. Mom's been dying to meet you. Says a guy who makes her son smile like that deserves her pecan pie." Luke's stomach twisted. Your folks, they know? About us? Know and love it. Dad's got a rainbow sticker on his truck. Come on. Let me show you what family can be. The idea terrified and tempted. To borrow Jonathan's world to taste normalcy. Okay, he whispered, sealing it with a kiss under the park's lamplights. Let's do it. Packing was a ritual. Luke folding hoodies with military precision, Jonathan tossing in hoodies with reckless abandon. At the airport, security lines snaked like veins, and Luke's phone buzzed Mia. Parents are coming to New York for a visit. Family dinner. You have to be there. Act normal. The words hit like ice water. Act normal. As if his truth was a phase, a glitch to debug. He silenced the call, boarding the plane with Jonathan's hand in his, but the seed of doubt took root. Chicago greeted them with wind that whipped off Lake Michigan, sharp as accusations. The hail home was a bungalow in a leafy suburb, porch strung with icicles and wreaths. Jonathan's mom, Ellen, enveloped Luke in a hug that smelled of vanilla and victory. We've heard so much, she said, eyes twinkling. His dad, Tom, clapped him on the back with a gruff, welcome to the chaos. The weekend unfolded like a dream deferred. Turkey brine to perfection, board games that devolved into laughter, stories of Jonathan's awkward teen years that had Luke snorting wine. On Thanksgiving night, stuffed and serene, the family gathered around the piano. Jonathan played a medley of show tunes, voice rich and unashamed, while Luke harmonized softly, their eyes locking in a private duet. It was perfect, until Luke's phone lit up in the guest room. A voicemail from his father, voice strained. We're in New York tomorrow. Mia says you're involved. This ends now. Come home, or don't come back at all. The words clawed at him, unraveling the warmth. He deleted it, but sleep evaded, ghosts whispering of divided loyalties. Back in New York, the glow faded. Jonathan noticed the distance, the way Luke pulled away during their post-Thanksgiving cuddle. Talk to me, he urged one night, over takeout Thai in the loft. Luke caved, spilling the ultimatum. Jonathan's face hardened, not with anger at Luke, but at the cruelty. You don't owe them your soul. But if you need space to figure it. No. Luke gripped his hand. I choose us. The family dinner loomed like a guillotine. Luke's parents arrived, jet-lagged and armored in denial, booking a sterile midtown hotel. Mia picked the restaurant, a dim-sum spot in Chinatown, neutral ground where chopsticks could double as weapons. The table was a minefield. His mother, Lon, fussed over plates, her smiles brittle. His father, Min, stared at menus like they held escape routes. Mia chattered about her nursing job, a buffer against the unspoken. Then, Min cleared his throat. Luke, we flew across the world. For you. The air thickened. Luke's fork hovered. For the family, he corrected softly. But I'm part of that. All of me. Lon flinched. This phase is hurting us. Back home, people talk. We left everything, jobs, friends, for a better life. Not this shame. It's not shame. Luke shot back, voice rising. It's who I am. And I love someone. Jonathan. He's enough. Min slammed his palm down, teacups rattling. Heads turned. You think America made you? No, we did. And we'll fix this. No more lies. No more him. Betrayal bloomed, hot and visceral. Mia averted her eyes, complicit in the rewrite. Luke stood, chair scraping like a scream. Fix? You mean erase. Again. I brought you here for freedom, not to cage me. He stormed out, the doors chime a funeral bell. Rain slicked the streets, mirroring the tears he refused to shed. His phone exploded. Texts from Mia. Come back, you're embarrassing us. Voicemails from Lon. Please. Contrae. But one cut deepest, Jonathan's. Where are you? I'm here. Luke hailed a cab to the loft, collapsing into Jonathan's arms the moment the door opened. They want me to choose, he gasped. Like it's that easy. Jonathan held him, fierce. It's not. But you already did. And I'm not going anywhere. In the quiet aftermath, they rebuilt brick by tender brick. Luke blocked his family's numbers, a digital Berlin Wall. Jonathan introduced therapy, sessions in a sunlit office where Luke unpacked the immigrant's guilt, the queer's isolation. Slowly, the wounds scabbed, then scarred into strength. Spring arrived, tentative and green. Luke's design firm landed the apparel contract, billboards blooming with his logos. Intertwined hands in bold primaries, captioned "Unseen No More." Jonathan's mural project expanded, Luke contributing pixels to paint. One evening, as cherry blossoms dusted Washington Square Park, Jonathan knelt amid picnickers and buskers, not with a ring, too conventional, but a sketchbook page, inked with their future. A house with a porch, two figures silhouetted against a horizon unbroken. "Marry me?" he asked, voice steady. "Not for papers or promises, but because you're my history, present, and all the tomorrows." Luke's yes was a vow, sealed with salt and sweetness. They wed in a rooftop ceremony that summer, under a sky streaked with sunset, friends and chosen family toasting with craft beers and cheers. Mia sent a card, unsigned, but present. His parents, silence, a void they'd learned to navigate. Years later, Luke would look back, not with bitterness, but clarity. He'd brought his blood family to America, yes, but in coming out, he'd forged a truer one, inked in love's indelible hand. Erased from one history, he'd authored his own. Vibrant, unapologetic, eternal. In the end, it wasn't tragedy or triumph alone, but the quiet humanism of persistence. The belief that even in erasure, we rewrite ourselves, one brave line at a time. The wedding afterglow lingered like summer haze, but life, that relentless editor, soon demanded revisions. Luke and Jonathan settled into a rhythm in their Greenpoint brownstone, a fixer-upper bought with scraped-together savings and stubborn hope. Mornings were Jonathan's domain. Eggs scrambled with herbs from the fire-escape garden. Coffee brewed slow to savor the drip. Luke handled evenings, takeout transformed into candlelit feasts, his designs pinned to the fridge like love letters. Work pulled them in opposite directions, Luke climbing at the firm, now senior designer on campaigns that actually meant something, like pro bono ads for immigrant rights groups. Jonathan's community center expanding into workshops for queer youth, his murals dotting Brooklyn like beacons. Yet, woven through the chaos were stolen moments. Lazy Sundays in bed, tracing tattoos with fingertips. Midnight runs along the waterfront, breaths sinking to the slap of waves. But the past, that sly intruder, refused exile. 6 months post-vows, a letter arrived, handwritten, Land's elegant script on rice paper, scented with jasmine. "We've seen your pictures," it began. "The wedding, beautiful, but wrong. Come home, let us help." Luke's hands shook as he read aloud to Jonathan in their kitchen, the words curdling the air. Help? Like therapy camps? Exorcisms disguised as family counseling. Jonathan set down his mug, pulling Luke onto his lap at the table. "You don't have to respond. Or do. But whatever it is, we're in it together." The internal war raged. Forgiveness tugged, a cultural tether. Filial piety drilled since childhood. The weight of sacrifices quantified in dollars and dreams deferred. But trust? Shattered, the pieces too sharp to reassemble. Luke drafted replies in his journal. Rage-fueled screeds, tender pleas, stoic silences. In the end, he burned them all in the sink, the flames a small catharsis. Instead, he channeled it into art. His next project, a digital exhibit for the firm, Echoes Erased. Interactive portraits of queer immigrants, faces morphing from shadowed obscurity to bold relief. Jonathan collaborated, painting backdrops of American icons twisted with Vietnamese motifs. Statue of Liberty clutching a lotus, Brooklyn Bridge arched like a dragon's spine. The launch at a Soho gallery drew crowds. Activists, artists, a reviewer from the New York Times who called it a poignant rebuke to selective memory. Applause thundered, flashbulbs popped, but Luke's eyes sought Jonathan's across the room, their shared gnawed anchor. Later, in a quiet corner, Jonathan pressed a gift into his palm. A custom sketchbook, leather-bound, First page inscribed, "For the stories they tried to bury." That night, champagne buzzing in their veins, they made love with a ferocity born of victory. "You're unstoppable," Jonathan whispered, bodies slick and entwined. "My fierce Gwyn. But victories breed vulnerabilities." Enter Alex, Jonathan's ex from Chicago days. A photographer with a roguish grin and a portfolio that screamed, "Art World Darling." He blew into town for a residency at MoMA PS1, crashing unexpectedly at mutual friends and, inevitably, crossing paths at a panel on queer representation. Luke liked Alex at first. Witty, unpretentious, regaling them with tales of Midwestern mischief over beers at a dive in the East Village. "Johnny here's always been the softy," Alex teased, slinging an arm around Jonathan. "Remember that time in college, when he cried over a spilled paint palette?" Jonathan laughed, but Luke caught the flicker, the ease, the history that predated him. Insecurities stirred, old ghosts whispering, "You're the outsider, the one they had to fix." Alex lingered. "Coffee catch up?" He'd text Jonathan. Copies CC'd to Luke out of courtesy. Then dinners, just the three of us. Stretching into late nights at rooftop bars where city lights blurred boundaries. Luke joined when he could, but deadlines piled up. A rush job for a nonprofit, mock-ups till dawn. Jonathan assured him, "It's nothing, old news." Yet doubt festered. One evening, returning early from a site visit, Luke found the brownstone empty. A note, "Out with Alex, shooting concepts. Home late. Love you." The words twisted, innocuous on paper but laced with implication. He paced, the floorboards creaking like accusations. Memories flooded. His father's "Don't come back till you're fixed." Mia's cropped photos. Was history repeating? Jonathan's patience fraying under the weight of Luke's baggage? The door clicked at 2 a.m. Jonathan stumbled in, smelling of bourbon and creativity, camera bag slung over his shoulder. "Hey, babe, sorry, got carried away." Alex had this killer idea for the youth exhibit. Luke sat on the couch, arms crossed. "Carried away how?" Jonathan paused, reading the room. "Luke, it's work. You know Alex. Harmless. Harmless. The dam broke. Or history. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like I'm the one being erased again. Fitting into your world, but never quite belonging." Jonathan's face crumpled, hurt flashing green eyes. "That's not God, no. Alex is a friend. Past tense. You're my everything." Words escalated, voices echoing off walls they'd painted together. "I see how you light up around him," Luke accused. "Easy. No explanations needed. Because he knew me before the scars." Jonathan shot back, rare anger surfacing. "But you see me now, flaws and all. Why can't you trust that?" The fight ended in silence. Jonathan retreating to the studio, Luke to the bed, sheets cold as regret. Dawn brought apologies, coffee and croissants, tentative touches rebuilding bridges. "I'm scared," Luke admitted, head on Jonathan's chest, "of losing you to something simpler." Jonathan kissed his temple. "Nothing simpler without you. Promise." They recommitted. Date nights sans phones. Therapy double sessions unpacking jealousy as traumas echo. Alex faded, his residency wrapping with a polite goodbye brunch. But the rift lingered, a hairline fracture. Then the call came, Min, post-stroke, hospitalized in Queens. Mia's voice trembled. "He's asking for you. Please." Luke froze, phone slick in his palm. Jonathan squeezed his shoulder. "Go. Not for them, for closure." The hospital smelled of antiseptic and unresolved sins. Min lay pale against starched sheets, tubes snaking like accusations. Lon hovered, eyes red-rimmed. Mia stood sentinel, guilt etched in her stance. "Con," Min rasped, hand extended. Luke took it, the grip weak but insistent. "I was wrong. Angry. Scared." The confession spilled halting, regrets over the erasure, the ultimatums. "America changes us. I forgot love bends, doesn't break." Tears came, messy and mutual. Lon joined, her embrace fierce. "We see now. You're Jonathan, he's family. Not forgiveness entire, but a truce. Mia confessed her role, the cropping a panicked shield. I was weak. Sorry. Luke left lighter, the weight redistributed. Back home, he recounted it to Jonathan over pho from their favorite spot. It's not fixed, but it's starting. Jonathan pulled him close. That's all any of us get, startings. Summer swelled, pregnant with change. Luke's exhibit toured, drawing acclaim and a book deal. Jonathan's center thrived, youth blooming under his guidance. They adopted a rescue mutt, Buster, whose wagging tail chased shadows. Yet undercurrents stirred. Alex emailed Jonathan. A collab invite for a Berlin show. You and me, like old times. Jonathan showed Luke immediately, seeking input. Your call. Luke's gut twisted, but growth meant trust. Go. Make it ours. Send me sketches. Jonathan did. Postcards from cobblestone streets. Murals of intertwined revolutions, captions laced with miss you. Luke framed them, badges of security. Fall brought harvest. Thanksgiving at the brownstone. Tables groaning with fusion feasts. Turkey banh mi, Ellen's pie alongside Lan's cha. Families merged, awkward at first. Min grilling Tom on Bears games. Mia bonding with queer cousins over craft cider. Laughter bridged gaps, toasts to resilience. But humanism's not linear. It's a spiral. One night, post-feast, Min pulled Luke aside. Proud of you, son. But, grandchildren, the old ache flared. Luke steeled. Ours will look different. Chosen, fierce. You'll love them. Min nodded, slow. Progress, incremental. As leaves turned, Luke and Jonathan planned. A surrogacy consult, dreams of tiny feet pattering on creaky floors. Life rewriting itself page by hopeful page. Winter clamped down, snow blanketing Brooklyn in hush. The brownstone glowed against the cold, windows steamed with holiday prep. Luke strung lights with Buster nipping at heels. Jonathan belting carols off-key while baking snickerdoodles. Their first Christmas as husbands shimmered, tree adorned with ornaments from both worlds. Vietnamese lacquer stars beside Midwestern glass baubles. A Star of David nod to Jonathan's Jewish roots. Gifts exchanged by firelight. Luke's for Jonathan, a custom easel etched with their vows. Jonathan's for Luke, a pendant, emerald for his eyes, engraved, seen, always. They made love under the tree, slow and sacred, bells jingling faintly from the street below. But joy's shadow is vulnerability. The surrogacy journey began with promise. A match with Sarah, a teacher from Jersey with kind eyes and a laugh like wind chimes. Consults flew by, legal papers signed in triplicate, ultrasounds charting miracles in grayscale. Then, the call. Sarah's voice wavering. I'm sorry, it didn't take. The words landed soft, but shattered hard. Luke curled on the couch, Jonathan's arms a fortress. We'll try again, he murmured. Or not, whatever feels right. Grief cycled. Rage at biology's indifference. Guilt over wanting what his parents deemed unnatural. Therapy unpacked it, queer parenthood as rebellion, not replication. Jonathan suggested fostering kids who need us now, not hypotheticals. The idea ignited. Classes followed. CPR certifications, home studies where social workers probed like kindly detectives. Clearance came in spring, a cherry-scented bloom. First placement. Theo, 12, all limbs and attitude, yanked from a neglectful aunt. His file screamed trauma, foster hops, walls built high. On pickup day, he slouched into the brownstone, duffel clutched like armor. This temporary, right? Don't get attached. Luke knelt, eye level. Temporaries are specialty. But homes? We build those too. Theo thawed slow. Video games with Jonathan turning to strategy talks. Cooking lessons with Luke yielding faux fusion disasters that dissolved in giggles. Buster claimed him first, sloppy kisses melting defenses. One night, nightmares yanked Theo screaming. Jonathan rocked him through it, Luke humming lullabies from Hanoi. Bureaucracy loomed, visits, reviews, but bonds deepened. Theo's art bloomed under Jonathan. Graffiti tags evolving to gallery sketches, themes of fractured skylines mending. Family wove in Lan teaching origami resilience, Min sharing war stories reframed as survival. Mia, now aunt in training, sent care packages of Vietnamese sweets. Evenings filled with board games, Theo's competitive streak rivaling Jonathan's. Then fracture. Theo's aunt resurfaced, petitioning custody, blood over choice. Court dates loomed, a gauntlet of testimonies. Luke and Jonathan advocated fierce. Affidavits of stability, Theo's own voice, small but steady. Here, I'm me, not a burden. The judge ruled for them, permanency pending adoption. Relief crashed, hugs in the hallway tasting of salt and victory. Theo, eyes wide. For real. For keeps. Jonathan promised, ruffling his hair. Adoption day dawned golden. Courthouse steps, papers stamped, rings exchanged anew in symbolism. Back home, a party erupted, friends, family, a cake iced with hail. Theo blew candles, wish unspoken but etched in grins. Parenthood reshaped them. Sleepless nights yielded to routines. School runs in the Prius, parent-teacher conferences where Luke charmed with designs for PDA flyers. Jonathan's center became Theo's second home, mentoring peers in after-school clubs. But equilibrium's illusion. Luke's firm hit turbulence. A merger, whispers of layoffs. He poured overtime into pitches, coming home hollow-eyed. Jonathan noticed, plates cooling untouched. Talk, he urged post-bedtime. It's nothing, Luke deflected. But pressure mounted. Provider instincts clashing with immigrant ethos, success or shame. One deadline eve, Jonathan found him at the kitchen table, sketches crumpled like failures. You're enough, Jonathan said, gathering the mess. We are. The pep talk landed, but cracks widened. Enter conflict's catalyst. A job offer from a San Francisco startup. Lead creative, salary doubling, remote hybrid tempting. Think about it, his boss emailed. Bay Area's queer mecca. Fresh start. Luke agonized, map spread on the bed. SF's allure. Tech pulse. Diverse enclaves. Distance from New York's grind. But roots? Jonathan's murals rooted deep. Theo's school blooming. He broached it over dinner. Thai basil chicken steaming. Hypothetical. Bigger gig. West Coast. Jonathan's fork paused. Hypothetical. Words tumbled. Opportunity. Stability for Theo's future. Jonathan listened, jaw tight. And us? Uproot everything for what? If? Hurt simmered to argument. I'm thinking family, Luke insisted. Family's here, Jonathan countered. Building, not bolting. The fight festered. Silences stretching. Theo sensed, retreating to headphones. Luke interviewed via Zoom, half-hearted, the city's sparkle dimming. Climax brewed at a firm retreat, upstate cabin, team-building charades masking anxiety. Over bonfire beers, his mentor pulled him aside. Offers yours, but mergers cutting corners. Ethics clauses? Shaky. Gut punch. The dream soured, greenwashing campaigns, not the passion projects he'd chased. Luke declined, email sent under stars, a weight lifted. Homecoming was contrite. Flowers from the market, apology faux simmering. Jonathan met him at the door, embrace fierce. Knew you'd choose right. Not choice, Luke murmured. Clarity. Summer solstice brought renewal. A family road trip to Niagara Falls, mist veiling rainbows. Theo marveled, water thundering like applause. Evenings by the falls, hands linked, Luke reflected. Betrayal's not always malice, but missteps in the dark. Back in Brooklyn, life cycled, Theo's first crush. A shy classmate sparking awkward talks. Land's visit, teaching spring roles with stories softened by time. Human bonds, fragile yet forging. Yet, undercurrents whispered of greater storms. Jonathan's emails from Alex resurfaced. Not collab, but personal. Miss our talks. Berlin was empty without you. Luke glimpsed one, left open on the laptop, heart stuttering. Trust, that tender shoot, bent but held. Old friend, Jonathan explained, no defensiveness. Boundaries now. Luke nodded, choosing belief. Love's not absence of doubt, but action amid it. Fall leaves turned. Theo's adoption finalized in a quiet ceremony. Papers signed, hugs eternal. Brothers? Theo asked later, eyes on Luke. Always, he replied, sealing fates. In the spiral's turn they grew human, flawed, enduring. Autumn deepened, air crisp with change. Theo's middle school years accelerated. Algebra woes, soccer tryouts where he shone. A quiet activism budding in posters for the GSA. Luke and Jonathan navigated co-parenting's dance. Carpools synced via apps, disciplined tag teams that ended in united fronts. Professionally, Luke thrived post-decline, pitching an internal shakeup, a queer-led imprint within the firm. Pitches landed, boardroom nods turning to budgets. Jonathan's center secured grants, expanding to VR art therapy for trauma survivors, Theo beta testing, his input gold. Family ties mended unevenly. Lon and Min visited quarterly, flights a bridge. Dinners blended. Guaco simmering beside meatloaf, conversations skirting edges but probing deeper. Min opened about his own youth, whispers of a forbidden crush in war-torn fields, silenced by survival. I projected fear, he admitted, voice gravel. Your courage shames my silence. Healing incremental. Mia relocated to Brooklyn, apartment hunting with Theo's eager tours. Anti-squad, she dubbed, mending fences with playdates and faux runs. But paradise's price is vigilance. Betrayal specter returned via Alex, not flirtation, but opportunism. His Berlin show review tanked, desperation birthing a scheme, plagiarizing Jonathan's mural concepts for a solo exhibit in Chelsea. Inspired, sans credit. Word spread via Art World Grapevine. A mutual curator tipped Jonathan over coffee. Rage boiled. Not just theft, but desecration of shared pain. Those walls born of Luke's exhibit, Theo's sketches. Jonathan confronted. Voice steal over phone. Steal my style? Fine. But my soul? That's low even for you. Alex's defense crumbled to please. It was homage. Help me fix it. Co-credit? Temptation flickered, old loyalties, easy grace. But Jonathan hung up, turning to Luke. What do I do? Luke's counsel was fire-forged. Call it out. Publicly. We don't erase thieves. The storm hit socials. Jonathan's thread detailing the rip-off, side-by-sides glaring. Support surged, hashtags art not theft, queer creators rallying. Alex's exhibit fizzled. Apologies issued in tearful Insta lives. Fallout lingered. Jonathan second-guessed. Was I too harsh? He was drowning. Luke pulled him close by the fire escape, city lights winking. Mercy without justice? That's enabling. You protected us. The incident galvanized a workshop series on ethical creation, Jonathan leading, Luke designing collateral. Theo contributed a piece. A digital collage of borrowed versus owned narratives, captioned Roots Run Deep. Winter holidays amplified bonds. Hanukkah lax fried alongside Tet Prep. Theo lighting candles with Min's steady hand. New Year's, they toasted under fireworks. Resolutions whispered. More travels, deeper listens. Spring unfurled betrayal's deeper cut. Not external, but internal. Luke's journal, once private, fell open during cleanup. Pages spilled doubts. Am I enough for them? The immigrant kid playing house. Jonathan found it, reading in quiet horror. Not anger, but grief for unspoken fears. Confrontation came gentle over breakfast. Why hide this? Jonathan asked, journal between them like a truce flag. Luke's throat tightened. Old habits. Erasure's echo. Better to fade than fight. Jonathan's response was action. A weekend retreat to the Catskills, cabin rented, no signals. Days blurred in hikes and hot cocoa, nights in truth circles by the hearth. You're my anchor, Jonathan confessed. But anchors drag if chained in secret. Luke bared all. Family pressures resurfacing in dreams. Theo's future a phantom weight. What if I fail them? Then we fail forward, Jonathan vowed. Together. Renewal bloomed, couples therapy resuming, vulnerability practiced like scales. Theo, sensing shift, drew a family portrait. 3 figures, hands linked, colors bleeding joy. Summer scorched, road trip redux to the Grand Canyon, Theo's pick, geology geekery in full swing. Rims glowed vermilion, echoes amplifying laughs. One dusk, perched on ledges, Theo asked, "Ever feel like you don't belong?" Luke's heart clenched. Everyday kid, but belonging is chosen, like us. Theo nodded, fist-bumping Jonathan. Squad goals. Back east, conflict crested. Land's health faltered, cancer diagnosis, stage 2, treatment in New York for proximity. Min called, voice breaking. "She wants you. All of you." The prodigal pull ward with wariness. Luke visited alone first, hospital room, a time capsule of scents, hospital bleach over jasmine oil. Lon, frail but fierce, gripped his hand. "I was blind. Now see? Forgive if you can." Words bridged chasms. Apologies for erasures, admissions of cultural cages. "You taught me love wins," she whispered. Jonathan met her next, Theo in tow. Walls dissolved over jello cups. Buster's photo on Land's tray sparking tales. Min thawed. Sharing chess with Theo, moves mirroring life's gambits. Treatments toll-mounted, chemo days, Luke shuttling, Jonathan cooking broths. Family expanded. Mia's engagement. A biochem whiz who charmed with dad jokes. Wedding planning intertwined. Luke's designs for invites fusing lotus and lightning bolts. Climax brewed in autumn's blaze. Min's secret surfaced, not malice, but mandate. In Land's remission glow, he confessed. Years ago, post coming out, he'd hired a PI to check Jonathan. Background dig. Whispers to old Chicago contacts. "Protect you," he claimed. From hurt. Betrayal's blade twisted. Privacy invaded. Trust torched anew. Luke confronted. Brownstone tense. "My life, our life, wasn't yours to audit." Min bowed, shame carving lines deeper. Fear again. Father's curse. Jonathan, voice even. "We build from truth now. No more shadows." Ultimatum unspoken. Change or distance. Min chose growth, therapy, amends via letters chronicling his own queer curiosities, long suppressed. Resolution's path wound human, flawed, forgiving. Land's recovery party. A park picnic, toasts to warriors. Theo's speech. Families messy, but ours? Epic. As leaves fell, Luke reflected. Betrayal's not endpoint, but pivot. From erasure to embrace, they'd scripted resilience. Winter's hush settled. A canvas for new strokes. Land scans cleared. A miracle marked with mooncakes and menorahs. Min's letters evolved. Vulnerable vignettes of youth's what-ifs. Closing with "Your light guides mine." Luke archived them, not erasure, but evolution. Theo's world expanded. High school editions for drama club. First role in Rent. Ironic echo. Queerness celebrated on stage. Rehearsals consumed evenings. Luke and Jonathan in front row seats. Pride swelling with applause. Professionally, synergies sparked. Luke's imprint partnered with Jonathan's center. A graphic novel series. Youth-authored tales of identity. Theo illustrated the pilot. A boy bridging oceans. Frames fusing Hanoi alleys with Harlem streets. Launch event packed the gallery. Book signings blending tears and cheers. Personal tides turned. Surrogacy revisited, not replacement, but expansion. Sarah reconnected, open to retrying. Consults resumed. Hopes tempered by Theo's now-teen wisdom. Cool if it's a sibling. Or not. We're good. The take stuck. Ultrasound heartbeat, a drumbeat of destiny. Pregnancy's arc unfolded. Cravings appeased with midnight runs to dim some dives. Ultrasounds pinned like art. Theo claimed big bro status. Assembling cribs with Jonathan's guidance. Luke's designs adorning nursery walls. Constellations of chosen stars. Family converged. Ellen flying in for baby showers. Fusion quilts stitched communal. Mia's wedding wove in. A loft ceremony. Luke officiating. Vows echoing his own. In rewriting we reveal. But life's not scripted sans strife. A minor betrayal bubbled. Theo's crush, Jamie, outed by a classmate's cruel post. Schoolyard drama escalated, Theo retreating, walls up. Why them? He raged, slamming doors. Parenting's trial. Luke drawing from his well, sharing coming-out scars. Hates loud, but loves louder. Jonathan facilitated center talks, peers sharing shields. Jamie's family stepped up, allies fierce. Resolution. A GSA walkout, Theo's sign love wins, period trending local. Spring birthed Elias. Tiny, squalling, eyes green like Jonathan's, cry fierce like Luke's. Hospital room overflowed. Lon cooing Vietnamese lullabies, Min cradling with grandfather's awe, Theo snapping Polaroids, Mia snapping selfies. Nights blurred in feeds and diapers, exhaustion laced with ecstasy. Mornings, coffee communal, Elias gurgling at Buster's nose boops. Theo's protectiveness shown. Storytime shifts, Big Bro boasts at school. Years cascaded. Elias toddling, Theo's prom tuxedoed with rainbow pins, college acceptances to RISD. Luke's firm went independent, boutique agency specializing in narrative design. Clients from Stonewall vets to startup visionaries. Jonathan's murals scaled national PBS doc in works. Anniversaries marked milestones. 10th, vow renewal on that rainy porch, friends toasting eras. 15th, a vow to Vietnam, roots reclaimed. Hanoi streets echoing Brooklyn's beat. Min and Lon joined, temples visited, ghosts laid gentler. Betrayals receded to footnotes. Alex's redemption arc, accredited collab years later. Family archives unearthed. Luke's photos restored in albums, apologies inked. Climaxes echo faded, replaced by quiet crescendos. Elias's first steps toward Jonathan. Theo's graduation speech dedicating to the dads who saw me first. Luke, on stage for honors, voice thick. We came for dreams, found family. Humanism's arc, not flawless finale, but ongoing draft. In Brooklyn's hum, brownstone lit against dusk, Luke traced Jonathan's hand, rings worn smooth. Erased once, he murmured. Eternal now. Jonathan smiled, green eyes eternal. Our history unbreakable. Outside, city breathed, stories unfolding. In the frame of forever they fit whole witnessed home.